Hello, I am Albert, and for our ECE 120 final lab project, me and my partner Francisco decided to implement two DC motors that will be attached to our mechanical tank. These DC motors will cause the mechanical tank to either perform a forward or backwards motion when powered on. We will also implement an LCD display that will show which switch will perform a certain mechanical movement when it's pressed. First off, we powered our DC motors by implementing two H bridges, which are connected to port A from RA0 to RA4. And we also tested it if it was receiving the correct signal with 4 LEDs. And then we use port D for our LCD display. And as you can see, when we press the RA4 switch, it will perform a forward motion, and when we press the RB0 switch, it will perform a backwards motion. So when we press RA4 switch, it should go forward. And as you can see, it went forward, and when we press RB0 switch, it should perform a backwards motion. And we can also confirm this by seeing that when we press the RA4 switches, our LEDs will perform the correct sequence that we made it to. And when we press the RB0 switch, it will also perform the
Hello, my name is Francisco Viña. My lab partner is Albert Yang, and I will be presenting our ECE 120 lab project. Our ECE 120 lab project basically consisted of a tank being controlled by two motors. Each side of the tank is being controlled by one motor, making the tank go left or right, forwards or backwards. In our case, we just use forwards and backwards due to time complexity. But we also integrated the LCD to tell the user whether the tank is going forwards or backwards and which switch needs to be pressed in order to move the tank forwards or backwards. So here's the initialization part of our code, which initializes our address. And here it's the initialization of our LCD. And here is for their inputs and outputs. We basically used RB0 and RA4, and the rest are outputs, but we mainly used the lower 4 bits of port A, which controls our two DC motors. Here is the monitoring subroutines we used for our code. So we started out by clearing all our ports, calling our LCD initialization, and we went to a subroutine called display. Display will go to, if we go to our subroutine, it's just displaying what each switch is going to do. So if you press RA4, it will go forwards. If you press RB0, it will go backwards. That will show up in the first part of our. And if we go back to our monitoring system, RB0 is pressed, we go to our subroutine called backwards. If we press RA4, it will go to a subroutine called forwards, else keep monitoring. So if we go to our backwards, here are the sequences in order to move the motors and make the tank go backwards. And the same thing for forwards. Here are two different sequences to make the motor spin in order to make the tank go forwards. Other than that, it's just delays, initialization, subroutines such as transferring data to the LCD, writing to the LCD, initialization of the LCD, and clearing LCD. And that is our project for ECE 120. Thank you.